Hey guys, what is up? Kaiser58 here, and today we are going to be busting a car myth or finding out the truth on it. And that truth is, what is a hot air intake or a cold air intake? Now, cold air intake is obviously, as it sounds, pulls in cool air from the intake. A lot of people like to think certain air intakes under the hood are cold or hot. If they're under the hood and they're just a cone filter on the end and you get rid of the air box, they're hot. In a lot of cases, this is true. But in some cases, this might not be so true, because sometimes you'll put it where the airbox was. Well, if it's pulling from the same general location, then it shouldn't be much warmer. But this also depends on each vehicle, make, and model. For today, we're going to be using my 1994 Thunderbird with a 3.8 232 cubic inch small block Ford Essex. And I got my digital thermometer from OEM Tools we're going to be using to get our data. We're going to do measurements of the car before we run it, right as we run it on a cold start, and then we're going to let it get up to operating temperature, and we'll check the engine temps and where it gets hot and cold, and then we'll also take the air filter out and actually measure the inside of the pipe to check the inside temps of the air intake there. So this will be our engine that we use today. We're going to be measuring this air intake. As you can tell, I ditched the factory air box on mine. A lot of people say, yeah, it's a warm air intake. Well, we're gonna find out if that's true or not, because I got rid of my air box because that will fill up with water, as you can tell, when it rains and moisture, because the air actually pulls air from just down there. So what we're gonna do is measure that area compared to the actual filter and see how much hotter or colder it is, because that would be where it is originally pulling from, is down there. All right, time to get our measurements. We're gonna use our gun. Outside temp currently is about 27. That's pretty accurate. My phone is saying about the same thing there. So we'll undo that, and then we'll get our measurements here. So, starting off, our air filter right now is at 31 degrees, roughly 32. Our intake pipe is roughly in the 40s, and going further up towards the engine, we're getting towards the 50s at the throttle body. The engine blocks, we're going to measure a cylinder head here. You're looking at about 60 degrees on it currently. Water pump, all that. And proof that it is cold, 45 degrees. Lower and upper radiator hose. We're also going to measure the starting temp down here. The temp in that air inbox area is about 30 degrees, so about 2 degrees off from our factory, or from our cone filter here. Let's start it up and get some more measurements. What we're trying to see here, without it running and with it running, is the fact that, does airflow change the actual temperature of the filter? Because the air is getting pulled in, it would naturally cool the filter. So, we're gonna see. We're about the same temperature all throughout the filter. It's a little colder towards the tip there compared to down there. And then, obviously, we have our readings for our stock temp, where we would normally be getting air from if it's a factory air box. Exhaust manifolds are running closer to 100 something degrees there. So we just got a cold start, just warmed it up. Let's get up to operating temp and we'll get our measurements there. All right, we are now at operating temperature. So we're gonna pop the hood here and get our measurements. I'm probably not doing the end pipe measurements here. If anybody really wants me to do end pipe measurements, I will do another video. Let's see what the temp readings are for the air intake. Or air filter, I guess it's not really a full air intake. Okay. Under hood temps, about 116, 100 degrees. That's about 160. Perfect. That's what my thermostat runs at. I got 160 degree race thermostat, so that's perfect. Air intake temp is the real question here, though. All right. Where it would factory pull from, we're rating at about 76, 75 degrees right now. That's where it'd be pulling from factory. Now, if we check under here, the air filter, is pulling about the same exact degree, actually cooler than a factory air. Significantly cooler. The air intake itself, which is factory, is out about 100 something degrees, probably due to being over the exhaust manifold there. And as you get to the throttle body, you get at about 130, and going to the manifold 140. But our intake is actually cooler than pulling. Oh, hold on. Factory air, we're reading about 65, hold on. Where it's actually cooler. It's about the same temperature, if not cooler. Closer, it's going to obviously be a little bit warmer, but that's just how it's going to be, depending on the factory air intake. So, this is not a hot air intake. This proves that if you have the intake far enough away from the engine, in such case, it is not a hot air intake. It is pulling about the same, if not cooler air. And it's pulling in more area, more available air. So let's say I upgraded the injection system, I would need more air than whatever that hole down there can pull through the factory air box, even with a drop in. So this proves that to a certain distance, obviously next to a radiator, I have some space through here, it's not a hot air intake. A little baloney. It is actually a cold air intake. So obviously your pipe, let's say I cut the pipe here and did it there. Well, that's going to be pulling a little bit warmer air. So some engines, you got to watch how close you place it to the engine. And if somebody went, oh, well, let me cut it here and make it a short ram, well, that'd be a stupid idea. But at this distance, it is the same, if not cooler, of an intake bed as down there. So there's the truth, people. There's the truth. Putting a cone filter where your factory air box is located, in this vehicle's case, and in many cases, will not result in a power loss or warmer air, hot air intake. Thank you for watching. This is Kaiser58 over and out. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something today. Comment, rate, and subscribe.